Hi everybody, I'm Greg from Two Old Guys with Crossbows, and today I'd like to talk about recurve versus compound crossbows. Um, Hi everybody, I'm Greg from Two Old Guys with Crossbows, and today I just thought I'd do a video and talk about recurve crossbows versus compound crossbows, in the sense of, do I need a compound crossbow or do I need a recurve crossbow? Again, I think it all boils down to personal choice and taste, but this video will help give you an understanding of the bows and hopefully to make a choice of which you would like to purchase. Stay tuned. The pros and cons, some of the myths about them, and in this ever-advancing world we have of crossbows, it's harder and harder to discern or make a decision of which crossbow we would like to purchase or own. For myself, I own 3 crossbows, and that's because I got into crossbow hunting about 6 years ago, and back when I was looking at crossbows, I wasn't sure and I didn't want to spend a lot of money, so I was shopping around and looking for something that fit my price range more than anything, but also I wanted something that was accurate and functional, although I knew barely anything about crossbows. And the first crossbow I bought is this one up on the wall behind me, and that is a Sniper 370. Center Point Sniper 370. It's made by Crossbow. Now it's a great bow. It was inexpensive. It was actually on sale when I purchased it, and I believe I picked it up for around $300 Canadian from Cabela's. And I got my very first deer with that bow, and I took it out, but it does have some issues in the sense of being a cheaper model crossbow. It's got many plastic parts that can be a little clicky and wiggle and such, so it clicks, it makes noise as you move it or if you bump something. Also, the scope that came with it, the center point scope, you would sight it in on your first reticle at about 20 yards. I started to do 25 yards because as I went from the 20-yard reticle to the 30-yard reticle, I noticed that it was dropping. It wasn't dead on. And then as you went out to 40 yards, it got worse. And the final reticle at 50 yards was even more of a drop of about 5 inches. So that's a downfall of the center point Sniper scope that's on it. Now, I could have bought an aftermarket scope, I'm sure, and put it on there from Excalibur or someone. They have many scopes now that you have a variable reticle on them. So when you set it as a dial, that, like on my Recurve Assassin, has a dial. So for the feet per second, I'm shooting those bolts or arrows. The proper term is bolts, so I will probably refer to them as bolts, but I may say arrows here and there. But it has a dial on there, so my bow shoots at 360 feet per second, so I turn that dial to about 360, 350 in there, and it adjusts my reticles inside so that they're more precise as I shoot the longer ranges, and I find it works very well. It's the same on my Grizzly because I upgraded the scope on it. It also has the dial, which the center point sniper does not have. And the center point sniper shoots at 370 feet per second, so it's a very fast bow when it comes to bows, or as fast as you need, because as I said, as the market is changing these days, we're now seeing crossbows that are shooting at phenomenal speeds. I bought the sniper and I looked at it, and one of the reasons I decided to look at other bows was the fact that I thought, well, if I go on a hunting trip and I'm gone for a week and I'm up at the camp and I break a string on that bow, which can happen, or I accidentally cut it, I nick it with a broadhead and it snaps or it cuts, well, my hunt is done, basically. So I may be up there for a week, and if I only have the one bow with me, my hunt is done until I can get to a bow press or to an archery shop to get that string replaced. Because there's no way to replace a string on a compound bow without a bow press. I've heard that some manufacturers now, again, as technology is advanced, have found ways of doing that. I'll have to look more into that, but I believe by pulling the string back and blocking your cam so it can't retract all the way again, leaves the string loose so you can actually replace the string on a compound bow. So that's not so much of a factor anymore. Now, as I said, I want to look at recurve bows over compound bows, or versus compound crossbows, and I've done a little research online here. I have my camera or my phone in my hand, and I've looked at the sites. Crossbows with recurve limbs must have longer limbs and longer barrel to provide the longer power stroke as compared to a compound crossbow. Many hunters choose a recurve crossbow because of its simplicity. Now, I agree with the simplicity. They have less moving parts. They don't have cams and pins and everything to learn about and to watch. But the thing I'm disagreeing with a little bit here now is because they did years ago have to have longer limbs. But with the new technologies these days, we see Excalibur has put out the micros that are only a 24-inch spread, which is almost the same as my sniper back there, which I think is 25 inches when it's not cocked. And it's the same with my Excalibur Assassin, which is about 25 inches uncocked. So the wideness of the head has changed, but then there are other compound bows out there now, like the Raven, that shoots at an amazing 500 feet per second with only a 7-inch spread on the head. So like the technology is changing so quickly. The thing is about a Raven 500 feet per second bow is you're going to pay around over $3,000. In Canadian dollars, probably close to $4,000. American dollars, I think they're going for about $3,300. So if you don't want to spend $3,300 on a crossbow, there are many crossbows on the market, and many for much less money. But as I said, I'm just doing a little research online here. Let's have a look at what get into the pros and cons if I can. Many hunters choose a recurve crossbow because of its simplicity. It is easier to replace a string on a recurve crossbow than the compound crossbow. I've seen now that on compound crossbows, I've seen manufacturers that have come up with a thing where you pull the string back a bit, put a little tension on the limbs, but also you can block the cams now, which I think you can do probably on pretty much any. It's just that nobody's ever thought of it, but like putting a screwdriver in the cam, in the hole there, so it can't retract all the way and it goes up against the limb. which leaves your string loose where you can unhook it and then put your new string on. And then of course pull on it again a bit with your fingers to put some tension on there, remove the pin that's holding the bow and let it expand to its full potential. So I don't know, I haven't looked at that a lot, but I have seen a few pictures and videos about something like that. So changing a string, if this can be done, kind of takes that. The ease of changing the string is still, you have to know where the string goes, what it hooks onto, and everything with a compound bow. Where as recurve, you just hook it on the ends and two ends of the bow. So it is simpler. Recurve bows are easier to work on, allowing the shooter to do more maintenance. That's true. You don't have to take it to a bow shop to retune your cams and everything. Most of it can be done by the shooter or by yourself. There's not a whole lot to them. They're very simple. Another thing too is a compound bow is usually heavier than a recurve bow due to the extra cams and such. Today, with today's technology, I think that's becoming quite close in comparison. A lot of these sites, nobody has really looked at the differences, and these are older studies. What I'm finding with the advancement in technology, it's so hard to keep up with. It's almost like the computer age. There's always something newer, faster, shinier, but don't get caught into that. The thing is to find what works for you. I do believe that you're going to get what you pay for if you buy, like I said, a cheaper bow like the center point sniper that I have. It has a lot of plastic parts that can easily break in the cold and such. I've had no trouble with the bow at all, but also I find that it has an adjustable stock that for different shoulder lengths and eye relief on your scope, but the switch that's underneath, when it's released, is just loose and it's very clicky. Like even just picking up the bow, it can go click, and if you're out in a hunting situation and that clicks, well, that could be the difference of your deer standing there waiting for you to make that perfect shot and harvest your deer, or it hearing that click and gone, So with more expensive bows, they seem to be a better quality when it comes to certain things like that. More things have been thought out. A recurve bow, quieter than the compound bows? No, they're louder than a recurve when they release the bolt, because there's more pressure on the limbs and it's snapping that string straight ahead, where the compound, there's a little bit of, they're a bit quieter apparently. Now here they're trying to say that they aren't as accurate. No, that's a myth. Recurve bows are just as accurate as any compound bow, as long as they're tuned properly and sighted properly, and you're using the required bolts and weights. They say that a compound bow is more compact. Again, that's becoming a thing of the past with the newer bows and everything on the market. But that's enough of looking at that. Like it's given us an idea what kind of studies have been done on these bows online. But like I say, it seems to be a lot of old information because things are changing so fast. And so let's get to my opinions and what I found with my bows. One of the questions I have asked myself is, are compound crossbows actually required with the extra maintenance and the extra learning curve that's involved with them? The thing is, when you have a regular bow, a vertical bow, they were either long bows or recurve bows, and there was a lot of tension and you had to hold that while you made your shot. Now, the compound bow, which was designed and patented in 1969, was to relieve that. You pulled it back and there was a release on the draw due to the cams, which made less weight to hold on your arm and be able to hold that shot in place without as much shaking or tension on your arm. Now, with crossbows, there's a mechanism that holds the string. So all of that is eliminated. There's no strength involved except for the strength you need to lift the bow and hold it. So I've always asked myself, are compound crossbows actually needed? Now, again, as I went through the old studies and the old history, again, compound bows, another thing about a compound bow is it gave more speed to your arrow because of the cams and that. Now with crossbows, again, that was true. With the older crossbows, like if you look at an old Excalibur Axiom, they had a very wide head. I think they were like 36 inches wide with a recurve bow. Basically, it was a recurve bow stuck on its side on the end of a channel where you pulled the string back to a trigger mechanism that held the string. And now with the advancements in technology and these bows, we've gone to these micro heads, which I say are like 24 inches, 25 inches wide, on a recurve bow, and they're shooting 360 to 400 feet per second with these simple recurve bows. As I said, Raven has come out with a bow that's a reverse cam system, and it's shooting 500 feet per second. Now, again, to buy that bow that's brand new this year on the market, 2021, is around 3,300 American dollars. So it's a very expensive bow. Do you really need that 500 feet per second? It's not the speed that's killing the animal. It's not the impact. Even the old Axioms with the 36-inch heads would pass a bolt through a white-tailed deer easily, as long as the shot placement was proper. What I found, the only time my bolts have stopped out deer hunting or bear hunting is if I shoot through and I end up hitting the shoulder on this side and I hit the bone, and of course the bolt stops, but it's still made a pass through. It's gone through all the lungs and the heart and everything else. Most of my bolts pass through and I find them on the ground, and that's why I went to the Aluminoc because it makes it that much easier to find the bolts. I started crossbow hunting about 6 years ago, and the first bow I bought was a compound bow, the Sniper 370, and it's a great bow. I love it. I got my first deer with it. I don't remember if I used it the second year because I think I was still shopping around, and I'm one of those guys, I get to the store and I get caught up in the glitz and glitter stuff, and if I got the money in my pocket, I buy stuff, especially if it's on sale. Oh my God, look at that TV, it's $10 off, I better buy it. Although I've got a 50-inch sitting at home. Yes, I can get caught up in the shiniest, newest, fastest as much as anybody else, but I don't recommend it because now I have 3 crossbows, and basically I use one, the other 2 sit either hanging on the wall as a decoration, or I do take usually 2 bows with me in case I do have problems, like if I go somewhere and I'm gone for a week, I will take 2 bows, and that way if one of them malfunctions or breaks a string or something goes wrong, I have a backup bow with me so my hunt is not finished. Now, I know not everybody can afford to do that. I acquired mine over time. When it comes to even guns, I've got a gun cabinet full of guns. When's the last time I shot my guns? I don't know, a couple of years ago. I haven't hunted with a gun in the past 5 years, I would say, but I still have them. The thing is when you're looking at purchasing a bow, what do you want? Do you want the simplicity? Do you want a large learning curve? Nobody wants that. And a recurve bow has much less of a learning curve. They're very simple, very basic, and they're easy to maintain. With a recurve bow, or a crossbow. There are cams, pins, double limbs, lots of things to watch and learn about. And the thing is, if it goes out of tune, it's not holding its zero properly and stuff. These things are not something you can fix at home very easily unless you're an experienced bowmaster. I don't know the term, but so you end up taking them into the shop where they can put them on their machines and their equipment, and they can rebalance that bow for you. It's the same with a compound bow. They're complex. They're great. They work well. They're very accurate, and but recurve bows are just as accurate as far as I'm concerned. I've had no trouble with accuracy with my bows out to 50 yards. And I don't usually hunt out to 50 yards, but I do practice shoot out to 50 yards just to see how accurate they are at different distances. So when I am out hunting, if I do see and I need to take that longer shot, I want to know that I'm going to hit where I'm aiming. And that's very important to make humane kill shots. Now, when it comes to crossbows, there is a bit of a learning curve with the compound crossbow compared to the recurve crossbow, but also when it comes to compound bows, if you're an archery hunter or you're thinking about getting into archery hunting, it takes a lot of practice to be good with a compound bow. You'll have guys say, oh, they've changed now to the technology and that. I can't really specify on that personally, but when I did bow hunt years ago, it took a lot of practice, and I was never very good at it. It is difficult. But with a crossbow, it is much like shooting a rifle, and again, you're not holding that tension, and with same amount of practice you would do at the gun range, which I do still. If I'm going to hunt with my rifles, I always go out and do some practice shooting. I want to know where that gun's shooting. I want to make sure everything's sighted in. Same with my crossbows. Before I go hunting, I sight them in. I practice for a bit. I make sure that I'm hitting where I want to be hitting, and my groups are consistent. And I think any ethical hunter should do the same, and most do. But with the difference, again, I ask myself, are compound crossbows necessary? With the technology these days, you know, I think you can find yourself a recurve bow that will function just as well. And if you want that FPS, the feet per second, on that bolt flying through the air, well, it's there. Like I said, Excalibur's new crossbow for 2020 was basically shooting 400 feet per second. I bought the one down from that, the Assassin, but mine is 360 feet per second. My compound bow that I have does 370 feet per second. So it's very comparable. And I have had no trouble getting game with those speeds on my arrows and my bolts. Crossbow hunting is much like archery. I want to bring the game in close. Most of my shots are done between 20 to 30 yards. The way I have it set up, the way I hunt here, even the bear that I got the other year, I think that was even closer, like 15 yards. But if I want to make that longer shot, it's available. I may see myself trying to take some longer shots as I'm getting into mule deer hunting. And mule deer are a little different than whitetail, and they don't live in the bush. They like to live in the fields. And to get up close to them, it's not easy. And to get one within 40 yards takes some skill and practice. And I didn't get one this year. I was out there trying, but I didn't harvest my mule deer this year. We'll see next year. But anyways, I hope if you have any comments you'd like to put in down below, please do. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. But when it comes to picking a bow for yourself, again, it's personal preference. There's a huge market out there. Do some shopping, do some looking around, do some asking. Um, there's going to be people say that compound bows are way better than recurve bows, and in reality, no, they aren't. A recurve bow, and with the technologies these days, are great bows. And my phone just went off, but they are great bows. And like I said, again, it's a less of a learning curve for maintaining that bow. It's they are something to consider as far as I'm concerned. I like the recurve bows for the simplicity and the ability to be able to change the string right in the field. Like if I'm out there with my assassin or whatever, and I break the string, I can actually literally change it in the bush. Where I don't know if I can do that with my compound bow here. I'm going to have to practice and watch. I will probably put up a video about that once I get that figured out, and we'll see. But hope this helps you out. Like I said, any questions, put them in the comments below. Hopefully, if I can't answer them, somebody else that's watching these will be able to help you too. That's always a great help to have the viewers interacting, especially ones with experience, helping the newcomers. I belong to a couple of the Crossbows only and such on Facebook, and I see there's a lot of newcomers coming to Crossbows. I didn't realize that they were that new, but then again, I only got into them 6 years ago myself, but I've learned a lot over that 6 years. So anyways, have a great day, and if you're thinking about buying a crossbow, I recommend you do it. It's just like archery hunting, and it's so exciting. It's awesome. See you soon.